Alright, so said I would make another video about this. I don't know if people are very interested, or I'm just making a fool of myself by making some wild claims, but I just kind of want to know a little bit more about this rock. I find it interesting. So, as I said before, it's abandoned iron from Minnesota, I think. Now, since I found it in a field, or at the edge of a field in a pile of rocks, yeah, I can't say for sure where it came from. I'm guessing that the pile of rocks came from a farmer picking his field in the spring, and it was just sitting there with a bunch of other ones, but it was a little bit heavier. I saw a little bit of banding, and it had some orange staining. So, but other than that, it didn't really look that interesting. I mean, it just looked like another rock. You can see the natural edge of it right here. It's just kind of brownish black with a little bit of orange. And so I took it home, and I bought a little tile saw that I used to cut rocks open, so I could put them under a microscope and sand them down a little bit by hand. I don't have any equipment to do it. I just recently had this side polished at a lapidarist, and just by looking at it, it is banded iron. You can see I got a little magnet here. It's not super magnetic, but it's magnetic in certain places, so that's the magnetite. Especially in this band here, a little bit up here. There's magnetite scattered throughout it, but there's also areas that are not magnetic at all, especially in this light orange area. So I was looking at it, and I cut a couple pieces off of it, sanded it up. So it was kind of cool rock. It was the only piece of banded iron I'd ever found, and I didn't really notice anything interesting until I cut this piece, and I noticed this on the back of it. And this is sedimentary rock, and it's banded iron, I'm pretty sure. And I found it in Minnesota, but it would be, a couple hundred miles south of where the typical iron ranges are, found in Minnesota. So generally speaking, I would say it's a glacial erratic, glacial till, and that's how it got there. But most of the rock that I've seen, the banded iron from up there, looks quite a bit different, with a lot more darker reds. But maybe that's just the pictures people take. I don't know. And people see this and they'll know exactly what it is, hopefully, and they can tell me a little bit more about it. But I feel like it's kind of silly not to look into it because of this shape here. You can see there's one pretty large band of the hematite magnetite, and above and below it, it's fairly unconsolidated material. It's not compacted, yet this is a sedimentary rock, so it's almost as if this was a biogel maybe kind of thing going on in place, or something to kind of hold some kind of a, the magnetite from floating all the way down, the hematite. It's not consolidated, it's not packed down into the layers that you usually see. So, I was looking at this and I'm like, well, this rock isn't folded. This is a kind of a hollow cavity in there, or it was filled with something else rather than the typical stuff that's all around it. And I also noticed it's quite a bit lighter than most of the other stuff around it, and I realized that might mean it has more water in it, because as the hematite becomes hydrated, more and more hydrated, it becomes lighter and lighter, so there would be a concentration of water there. and I can't really figure out, I can't put it in my head why. Now I know there's stromatolites that are well known from the area, and this doesn't look like one of those to me. And the material looks a little unique to me with it being unconsolidated for the most part. Like I said, there's one big band there, but and when you see it under the microscope, it looks like it's just it got kind of solidified. One thing I don't understand or know about is the little needle-like crystals. I'm not sure what those are. The only thing that I saw that came close in a rock type of this type was maybe an iron-rich dolomite. Those needle crystals are all through up on top of this dark band and below this, so they're in there, but they're heavily concentrated in the lighter orange area. So, and there's also some black fiber or fibrous looking filaments that are inside that area, and they look like they're all going out. They're kind of all lined up together directionally. So I don't know. I mean, when I think about it, it's like, was this like a membrane structure, something that was hollow and got popped and fell over? Was this a, you know, if you did a 360 degree of this thing, you see it goes all the way through, you'd have a cup shape, but then there's also that little halo up on the front that, you know, I don't know, it looks like that might have popped something through there, but that's all clear cryptocrystalline quartz. I'll show you that. And there's some other stuff in there too that I'm not sure what that is. It could be some carbonates, but I don't know. I'll take another look at this under the microscope, try and get you some better shots. Hopefully you guys can tell me something. Like I said, I'm an amateur. I'm not a geologist. I just kind of like looking at rocks, and I thought this one was pretty interesting.